Hello and welcome to another video of mine. I know it's quite some time since my last video, but life just was intense and I didn't have the capacity for it. So I'm even more happy that today I can go with you through my Inktober 2023 drawings. I had a lot of fun with Inktober. As usually, I joined with my friends and we were orientating ourselves in regards of the prompt on the official prompt list. That is something we do every year. And I love the prompt list this year. Like the past years, sometimes it was really hard and there were a lot of prompts that were not that great. But this year we had a lot of good prompts and I was super excited for Inktober. In addition to that, I also decided that I wanted to ink my drawings this year with brush. This is the brush that I used mostly. It's nice and tiny. I started using this brush last year in December because I thought it would be a cool idea to have a tiny brush to do some line art and maybe also do line art with gouache, and I fall in love doing ink drawings with this brush. So I decided I want to get even better with inking with this brush and I'm gonna do my Inktober with this brush. And I did plan my Inktober in my sketchbook, and I'm gonna go with you guys through my Inktober plans as well as then the finished illustrations. So the first topic for Inktober was dream, and I really liked it. I instantly managed to imagine people laying in clouds and sleeping under maybe a starry sky, maybe two women cuddling with each other, and I did this sketch of two women next to each other, and one of them is holding a little book, and I really liked the sketch directly, so I decided to ink the sketch without doing another sketch, and that is the illustration I made with it. I'm super happy with the illustration. I had a lot of fun with it and it was super relaxing inking this drawing. I especially enjoyed the patterns, the clouds and the curly hair of the woman holding the book. And I also liked the detail that I have Dream Story as the book title. And I did the lettering with my brush, what was kinda hard but also super fun. And I think this drawing illustrates really well why I love using this tiny brush so much, because I'm able to have really thick lines and really thin lines. And it's just fantastic for me because then I don't need to swap tools or anything to have different line widths. And the only thing that is a little bit annoying with the drawing is that I forgot to finish this pattern. But when I realized it, I was like, yeah, okay, this is now part of the drawing. Then day 2, the topic was spiders, and my head directly went to Black Widows because of the song Black Widow from In This Moment. A really fantastic song that I can just suggest to look out. And first I was like, what could I then do? A woman with black sleek hair maybe, and obviously also long hair, maybe a spider web tissue or something like this, or a woman swimming in spiders. And then I did my first sketch of a woman having a black widow in her mouth, but I didn't like it. I also felt a little bit iffy while looking at references for black widows, because in the past years I started to be really anxious around insects, and I know spiders are not insects, but they're close enough that I felt anxious looking at the spider references. But it went well over time, and I then did this little sketch and I really liked the pose in the sketch, so I was like, I want to have this pose in my sketch. And then I did the sketch with the woman, and you don't per se see the pose, but the pose that you have here at the hand a little black widow, and here. And I liked this and I had enough energy, so I also did a finished illustration of this drawing, and this was super fun. I'm super happy with the end result, and though the background is not the most intriguing, I have to say, and the couch is like meh, but I'm just never that great with backgrounds. It's just something that I don't enjoy as much, so I don't practice it enough. And there I started to realize that, oh, my black ink is pretty empty already. Like, I have this one black ink from Rora and Klinger, and I really like the black ink from that. I also have a lot of other black inks, to be honest. And I did manage to nearly use up this ink during this Inktober, so maybe I need to buy a new black ink from Rora and Klinger. So then to day 3. Day 3, the topic was path, and at the start I was like, path, what could I do? Probably something like a path in the forest. And then I was like, oh, I could also do the fairy tale Hansel and Gretel, where they walk through the forest when they put down the breadcrumbs to find their way back home because they didn't have the time to collect the stones that they used the days beforehand. And I liked that idea a lot, and I was like, oh, I could draw black ravens eating the breadcrumbs. So I did the sketch, but this little sketch was not good enough because I could not tell how those two would look. So I drew Hansel and Gretel here again, and I like this, and I chose this then also as my illustration, and I'm really happy with how it turned out. Like, I don't draw trees or forests a lot, and I think you see that this is a forest and it's kinda creepy, and the thing that I love the most about it are the two black ravens. Like, I felt really insecure while sketching my drawing onto the paper, but I enjoyed it a lot when I started inking the ravens. It was like oh, this is working so well. And I was super surprised that it was working so well, because I'm not drawing ravens or birds a lot, because I'm mainly drawing women. And it was going really well, and I'm really happy with the end result. Then we already go to day 4 of Inktober. Day 4 of Inktober was quite the topic. It was Dodge, and I felt really clueless when I read the prompt Dodge. Like, what shall you draw with Dodge? It's such a hard word to illustrate. And I then decided to go with dodgeball, and I saved a lot of pictures on Pinterest with people doing sports to figure out how to do the dodgeball scene. Oh, in regards of Pinterest, by the way, as last year, I used Pinterest to organize myself and save a lot of reference photos. So I will include in the video description my Pinterest folder for this year's Inktober as well. And this is then the picture I ended up for Dodge. I do not like it. Like, action scenes is something I don't draw a lot. It's probably something you will hear way more often in this video, that I don't draw this a lot, because with Inktober I always have the experience that I draw things that I usually do not draw because of the prompts. What is really cool, because I always learn to expand my drawing abilities with something that is not in my comfort zone. But action scenes, probably nothing I will draw in the future a lot, but I'm happy with how it worked out. Also, the perspectives work out really well for me not doing something a lot, so I'm really happy. But yeah, not my best work in my life, but it also doesn't need to be, you know. And then for day 5, the topic was map. With map I also struggled at the start what I could do. I was thinking about maybe doing some fan art from Nami from One Piece while she's drawing some maps. Or I could show like the room of maps that she has. And I was not super excited about it. I'm not that type of person that does a lot of fan art, or really often fan art. So then I went further. Maybe I could also draw people searching through several maps to find the map that they want, but I also do not like that, so I continued with the idea of a person drawing maps, and I searched out some pictures of Nami drawing maps, and then I was like, ooh, I could draw a person drawing a D&D map, and that got me really excited. So I did a little sketch like this, and then did the bigger drawing. You can see when you compare the drawing with the sketch that I have way more perspective in the drawing. Like, I changed the position of the human a little bit by sketching it on the paper, but that is totally fine. And I did had this room, and I didn't knew how to like fill the room with things and different things, so I did take the room layout from where I live, where my workspace is, to decide where to place something, and I'm really happy with this drawing. Like, I love artwork where you have a person in a room with a lot of things, and I managed to do this here. Like, I have the map, then I have the D&D books with the player handbook and the Dungeons and Dragons monster guide, and I have that little statue that is a dice class, even though it's harder to see that those are dice, and the dice, and here character sheets, some pens, the window, those are D&D folders, and then other folders, and a lot of books and pens, and she even has a dice earring, a really fun little detail, and I'm so happy with this drawing, and I enjoyed drawing this a lot. Like, it took quite a lot of energy and time, but it was so worth it, and I'm so happy with this drawing. So then the next topic was Golden. We are getting close to the end of the first week of Inktober, and I felt to a certain degree exhausted, and in addition, just life was happening as it usually does in the recent days, so I did not manage to do a sketch before the day of Inktober. Like, most of the drawings I sketched first the day beforehand, and then I drew on the day. So I did the sketching and the thinking on the 6th of October, and I was like, okay, something golden, and I wanted to use my yellow ink because I have some yellow ink and brown ink and black for the golden effect. And then I was like, ooh, I could draw a dragon over their treasure. So I did some dragon sketches, but I was not 4 different variations. I liked this dragon sketch the most, but it was not detailed enough for me to be able to sketch on my paper without erasing a lot. So I went to the next spread of my sketchbook to then sketch the new things, and this is then the more detailed version of the dragon. I really like the sketch, and I definitely want to do a drawing with it, but I was way too exhausted to be able to draw something, so I sadly only have this little sketch for day 6 of Inktober, and from now on I will not have a lot of finished illustrations anymore, because October just was really stressful, but Inktober was feeling really good. So I think if like life just would not be as exhausting as it usually is for me, I would have been able to draw way more, and I had a lot of fun with Inktober. So on day 7, the topic then was strip, and I instantly was like, I need to draw vampires. Like a vampire biting another person with blood dripping down. Like, I really wanted to do that. But that was everything I did. Like, writing down the notes was everything I did for day 7. And then day 8 came, and I was really excited for day 8 too, because it was Toad. And if you watch me a little bit longer or follow me on Instagram a little bit longer, you maybe know that I love frogs a lot. And I know frogs and toads are not the same, but it's still great, and I really wanted to do a drawing for that day, but I didn't manage to do it. Though I had some ideas, like I wanted to have a witch that is holding a really big toad like a cat, and I wanted the toad to be one of the potato fairies. I love those toads, they are so plump and cute, and so I drew 2 of the potato fairies here. They're adorable, like just wonderful. And then was coming day 9 of Inktober, and the word was bounce. I also found bounce like a hard word. Like most words that are close to being verbs are just hard for me to depict in prompts. And I was thinking about maybe bouncing lights, and then I was like, oh, I could draw jumping fairies that are happily jumping around, maybe on a field of flowers. And I wanted to draw 3 fairies, and I wanted to use my smaragd green ink that I have, but I just did not have the energy. So you have this tiny little square that is empty sitting here waiting for the fairies to happening, but they never happened. Then day 10 was fortune, and I was like, oh, fortune. I could draw a magical fortune teller with a glass and a lot of accessories around them, and I wanted to include lots of patterns and different materials, and I decided to do it with my lilac ink because it's just so fitting. And this then was the sketch, and I was really happy with the sketch. And this is then the finished illustration for it. I did fuck up the hands really badly. Like perspective again, something I'm not used to yet, but something that I will get better in the future. But with the exception of the hands and those little blobs where my brush fell down because I was too exhausted to hold it and it splashed there. And I tried to hide it with white gouache, but my white gouache is not that great of quality, so like you don't see it that well on the scan, but you see it in person a lot. And it's a little bit unfortunate, but okay. The rest of the drawing I'm super happy with. Like she has those little tattoos on the fingers that are like sparkles so that she can cast her magic better with her hands. And I love all those little patterns and how they work together, and the details in the background and her clothes. And the thing that I'm most proud of is her hair texture. Usually I struggle a lot with African hair textures because I just don't know how to draw them. I'm so used to drawing a lot of lines for hair to achieve texture, and that just doesn't work that well with Afro-American hair textures. And those locks worked out so well. And I'm so happy with it because I tried from time to time practicing those hair textures, like practicing. I didn't even start drawing them most of the time yet. I just looked at pictures and I was like, okay, I don't have any clue how I can depict what I see in my art and how I do art. And I'm so happy that it worked here, and I hope I will be able to practice different hair textures more and more, because I love to be able to use a lot of different features while I draw. Like I want to have the options, you know? So, day 11 was then the topic wonder, and I didn't like that topic. It was, in my opinion, really close to Path from some days ago, and also really close to the prompt trip from last year. And I was also really exhausted. Like, the 11th of October should have been a Wednesday, and I always have a lot to do on Wednesdays, and I just was like, okay, this is not working. I'm skipping this. And then the next day was the topic spicy. And like spicy is hard. Like, what do you draw? How can you be creative with it? And it can still be then spicy. But I then wrote down that I could draw 2 girls being on a date. Maybe they're eating spicy food together. And I had that pose in my head where one of the girls is leaning forward to lick a little bit of sauce from the cheek of the other girl. So I drew this sketch then for the topic spicy. I love how the sketch looked. But I did not went with the spicy food because while going through Pinterest, I did saw some heart-shaped pizzas, and I was like, oh, that is such a good date food. I need to draw the heart-shaped pizzas. And so I did this drawing, and I'm really happy with the sketch. I did not do a bigger drawing because of energy levels, but I'm still really happy with the sketch. And one fun thing, sometimes when I sketch, I just continue drawing the rest of the body, but I then just make the frame where I want to have the big picture. Though in my sketchbook you still can see the rest of the body, though you don't see it well here because I overdrew it with other stuff. Then the next topic was rice. And I was like, okay, what can I draw with rice? How would be maybe a rising phoenix or a sunrise that is something really romantic, but I could also draw, instead of the sunrise, the moon rising, maybe something with an undead person. And then I was like, but if I go with the rising moon, I can also draw a vampire awaking from their daily sleep in their coffin, and I really liked that idea. That's why I drew all those sketches. My first sketch you barely can't see anymore. It was here, and you had like the vampire in the coffin and the person opening the coffin. In my head it was a teenager going through this old building, and you have the moon shining through the window. But I didn't like the perspective, and it would have not worked well in a drawing. So I drew it again. Here, you can't see the sketch anymore at all because I did another sketch over it then, but I still didn't like it, so I was like, okay, I do need to look up coffins. The vampire laying in the coffin does not look right. I do need to look up how a coffin looks and how a person laying in a coffin looks. So I did that, and that is the sketch that you see here with the vampire lady in the coffin, and I really, really like the sketch. And then I was like, I also need to know how I want to draw the curtains. So I drew some curtains here with the moon, and that is then the sketch I would have went with if I would have finished the artwork. You have the curtains with the window and the moon, and then the coffin with the person laying there smiling at the teenager that is surprised looking at the vampire. And I do like the sketch a lot, and I hope I will draw a bigger illustration with this. And then on day 14, the topic was castle. I was at the time already excited about Halloween and all the spooky stuff that was suggested to me on Instagram, for example, and I was like, just gonna continue with vampires because I am a sucker for vampires. I also have like all my vampire OCs and stuff, so vampire stuff is always something I enjoy a lot. And I was like, with the topic for castle, I can draw a vampire castle, maybe with some beds around and one of those red moons maybe. That could be really cool. And I was like, I can draw a person biting someone in front of the vampire castle, and that is something that excited me a lot. And here do you then see the sketch for the vampire castle with the vampire biting the other person. And what I'm really happy about is, if you remember from a bit earlier in the video, I was really sad that I could not draw a vampire bite on the topic drip. So I have my vampire bite here in this drawing. And I even managed to draw a full illustration. And I'm really, really happy with how this turned out. Like, I had references for the vampire bite and the castle and the moon. And I love how the castle looks and the vampire. And I did needed to change my inks while I was inking this because I just didn't have enough black ink anymore. So all those big areas are inked with a different ink that is a little bit more shiny. What I don't like as much, I prefer the inks that I used in the line art, but I'm so happy and I enjoyed this drawing so much. Like, probably my favorite of this year's Inktober. And then to day 15. Day 15 was dagger, and I was like, okay, I don't want to just draw a dagger, so what could I draw? I have here some notes, like a woman, maybe a vampire, licking a dagger and blood is dripping from the blade of the dagger, but I was not that happy about it, and also life was still exhausting, so I didn't do anything with this. And in day 16, I do not have a lot of notes. The topic was angel, so I drew angels, and I have here the sketch, and I like the sketch a lot. Again, with a moon and some angels, one angel swooning over the other one, and I did manage to do a full illustration with this too. And I love how this looks. I am really happy with the clothes of the angels and how they look at each other, the wings, and I especially enjoy a lot the feathers. And I did use the gouache again to put feathers over the blue to have those contrasts. In one space I used the white, and the other one I used the ink, and it was hard. Like, I overpainted those feathers a lot, and I will need to buy different gouache or maybe a different white for such things to do in the future. Like, I have a white Posca pen, but I did wanted to use my brush, so I didn't wanted to use the white Posca pen, and they are also not the, like, they have a good coverage, but they are not the most coverage, and I need to find a material that does not shine through when I do this. Like, it would be so much better and easier if I would work digitally, but I'm a traditional artist, so I need to figure out something to make this work better. But I'm really happy with how it looks now, and I'm really happy with this artwork as well. And that was the last full illustration that I did for Inktober, but I still continued to do a lot of sketches, so I will go with you guys through the rest of my Inktober's drawings here in my sketchbook. On day 17, the topic was demon, and I have on Pinterest a picture saved with some Greek or Greek-inspired statues with 3 women hugging each other. And one of the pictures that I have from that statue is with perspective. So I was like, I can draw demons in that perspective. That would be so cool. So I tried to draw the perspective here, but it didn't work out as well, so I tried it out again, but in another format, and I like this way more. And I'm really happy with the sketch, and I hope that I will come back to the sketch to do a drawing. And then life went on, still super exhausting, and so I did nothing for the topic saddle, neither for plump. And then for frost I was feeling a little bit better again, and I was like, frost, a frozen person. Oh, I could draw the snow queen, like from the tale where the snow queen captures the brother of 2 siblings, and then the sister is saving her brother, and like he freezes his heart. And I wanted to draw the snow queen and the brother, and I wanted to draw like frozen patterns on his skin, so you can see that his heart is frozen, and put her in a really big and fluffy coat, because I do enjoy drawing really big and fluffy coats. Some years ago I did a drawing for like something like a frozen queen, and I did a lot of studies of coats, and I went back to those studies to do this little sketch. And then day 21 was chains, and I was like, I can draw an angel being chained in chains, maybe chains with thorns, so that the angel is bleeding, and I wanted the drawing to be really intense. And this is then the sketch with the different chains holding the angel down. At the start I thought maybe I could even put a demon behind the angel, but that was too much stuff going on, so I decided not to do that and just make the background black. I also enjoyed this sketch a lot. And then day 22 was Scratchy. A friend of mine recently got some kittens to foster them until they find their forever home, and they were a little bit spicy, so I was like, I could draw a spicy kitten. Like, I could draw a scratchy pullover, but I could also draw a spicy kitten, and I really liked that idea. So this time I didn't went to Pinterest, this time I went to YouTube and searched for spicy kittens, because you have so many videos on YouTube about fostering spicy kittens and people fostering spicy kittens, and I found a video that I liked. I stopped the video and then drew this little kitten hissing at you, and like in the video the kitten is a little bit more spicy. I don't know if I captured their spiciness that much, but I enjoyed drawing the kitten a lot. Then day 23 was Celestial, and I would have loved to draw something for Celestial, but energy levels just were not giving it, so I skipped Celestial as well as Shallow. And with Dangerous, I imagined that I could draw a witch brewing a dangerous potion with some deadly plants, and I was looking up the plants that I could draw and doing in my sketchbook sketches of them, and I drew the Crimson Reed with those really cool looking flowers and Bitter Nightshade, and that was really fun. So, and now we are heading towards the end of Inktober. This is the last page that I filled for Inktober, and as you can see, my energy just didn't got better anymore. Most of the time, Inktober is a hard month in the year because I have a lot to do, and even though I didn't do as much as usual this October, it just still was emotionally so draining. On the day 26 with the topic remove, I had a really cool idea of a person coming home, removing their clothes, and they are being greeted by their cat. And it's just putting that idea then into a drawing was super hard because my head was like, I don't know how a person looks that removes their clothes. And when you search for a person removing their clothes, you find mostly pictures of people like removing their clothes to their underwear in a sexual context, and I did not want it to have the sexual context at all. So I struggled with like finding references to make this work. So I only have the sketch. And then I did skip the topic beast, what makes me really sad because drawing a beast would have been cool. I also sadly needed to skip the topic sparkle. Like I saw sparkle and I was like, oh, that is wonderful. I want to draw something for sparkle. Like I use so often nowadays sparkles in my heart. Not in my heart. Like they're also in my heart, but I use them so often in my art that I was like, I can just draw anything I want and it would fit the topic. This is perfection. I did not do the drawing for sparkles, neither for the topic massive for day 29, though I did had an idea. I wanted to draw a person like dancing with a massive plushie being in a massive hoodie, like one of those hoodies that are blankets and dresses at the same time. They have a specific name, I just don't know their name anymore, but they look so comfortable and I thought that would be really cool. And I also didn't draw anything for day 30 with the topic rush, though I was imagining like maybe drawing people being rushful while kissing and declothing themselves. That would have been cool, I believe, but energy levels were just not there at all. Though for day 31, like the last day of October, I really wanted to draw something again. The topic was fire and my head was instantly like, I want to draw dragons. I was not able to draw the dragon when the topic was golden. I want to draw my dragon now. And I did not manage to make a finished illustration because I don't know, life was there and instead I played Final Fantasy a lot on this day just to have a relaxing day, but I did do those concept sketches and I'm really happy with them. Like this was the first one of them and I did like the dragon here is sitting, crawling over a stone, but you cannot really see that he's crawling over a stone, so I was like, no, that does not fit, I need a slightly different pose. But I did like how the fire was going. I did not know if I liked the wings so much, so I tested it out here with a flying dragon, but I didn't like that pose. So it was like, I did like the pose here more. They can just make the dragon fly while being in a similar pose, and that is then this sketch, and I really like this sketch and I hope that I can come back to the sketch as well. A lot of sketches this year that I'm really excited about and that I want to draw into illustrations at some point in my life. What is a super good thing. And this was my Inktober tour. I hope you had fun going with me through my Inktober experience this year. And if you joined Inktober, be welcome to share your experience in my comment section. I would love to hear how you were doing if you followed the official prompt list. And with that, I would say goodbye for today, and I hope that I will be able to do my next video soon, because I did finish a sketchbook in the past months, one that I wanted to finish since my first sketchbook tour, and I am really looking forward to just being more active here on YouTube again, though I don't know, it's so depending on my mental health. So, bye-bye! I wish you a good day and a good week. And if you're struggling, you can do it. I believe in you.